Good evening and welcome to this very special evening. I was just saying that this evening promises to be very special. I have a feeling it's going to be extra significant for me because I never imagined that I would have an opportunity to spend an evening with hundreds of alumni from across the years, the batches, the institutes, geographies at one place, one single place, one platform all together. Who would have imagined? But this evening is happening and I'm delighted to be here. Um, I'm really happy that the Symbiosis Center for Alumni Engagement was set up some time ago. Dr. Nilesh Kumbojkar is the head of the center. He's an interesting gentleman. He's a strategy consultant. He's a technology evangelist. He's an innovation consultant as well. He used to be Tech Mahindra's cloud competency head, and we're delighted to have Nilesh with us. I now invite Nilesh to share a little bit about why the center is so special for him and why this evening is so special for him. Nilesh.
Thank you, Dr. Anita. Thank you, alumni, for your overwhelming response to this webinar and a warm welcome to all. We at Symbiosis deeply appreciate your connection with your respective institutes. SCAE at Symbiosis is formed to strengthen the relationship and create multifold opportunities across Symbiosis for every alumni. Many of you like Sandeep, Nupur, Honish, Preeti, Arindam, Shriram, Parag, Ketan have expressed their wish to do so, and SCAE will help them. This evening is special because this is first interaction across all Symbiosis alumni when we are entering 50th year. So I welcome you all to this new world of new possibilities, and I look forward to work with you all on many such exciting opportunities. Thank you once again and welcome all once again.
Thanks, Nilesh. Happy to hear that. Before we begin the actual interaction, just a few guidelines so that the evening progresses well. And I will remember to keep my mic unmuted whenever I speak. A few guidelines. You have a chat box. Do post your questions there. Keep those questions simple, pointed, so that we can address them. Some of you may have suggestions and comments. Let the teacher in me say a little bit of a tip. If you write comment followed by a colon and then your suggestion, it'll be easier for us when we're sifting through all the comments and questions, and we'll be able to come back to you at some point of time in response to those suggestions. For example, Shriram Iyer asked us if the center can focus on establishing pan-symbiosis chapters, especially in non-India locations. He was sharing with us that the Pan IIM in Singapore is a very active community, and could we do something like that? Thanks, Shriram, for that suggestion. Similarly, Aditya Roy has reached out saying that he's active and an expert in technology and marketing, and would love to work with us in certain initiatives. Thanks, Aditya. Also, just a heads up for my part this evening. At some point of time, I am going to go off screen. I will continue to be there through the show and through the interaction with Dr. Vidya. You'll hear my voice, but you won't see me. I'm just saying that because you might wonder what tech glitch has occurred over there. So you're going to hear my voice, but you're not going to see me. Let me once again just say this. Delighted to be here. Absolutely honored, to be the moderator for this function. I have often said this to my family and friends that I joined in 1985 at the Commerce College. I've grown since then. I've often felt that as Symbiosis has grown, I have grown. My colleagues echo the same sentiment that as Symbi grows, because that's how you refer to Symbiosis very often, we all grow. It's a great place to be. So absolutely honored and delighted to be the moderator for this evening. Years ago, when my kids were in school at the Symbiosis School on Prabhat Road, I met a young parent whose kids were also there, Ameya and Amruta. And she would come to the school just like parents come for PTAs, maybe for a flag hoisting, maybe to buy books. I had absolutely no idea what her connection to Symbiosis was. I did know that she was a working mom, that she was a doctor, a gynae obstetrician, absolutely involved in the education that her children were receiving. Some years later, I met her again at the SP Road campus. And since then, I have had the privilege of working with her at the university as well as in the international office. She's a doctor. She's a PhD in internationalization of higher education, a principal director at the Symbiosis Society, and a pro-chancellor who leads from the front. She's actually a great role model for parents, especially parents who work outside the home. Her skills in terms of prioritizing activities, and she juggles so many multiple responsibilities seamlessly and magically. I'm sure there's a great system at work over there, but she's great for many working parents to learn time management and other aspects of prioritizing work. I'm absolutely delighted to introduce Dr. Vidya Yerodekar to you. She is known fondly and widely as Dr. Vidya, and therefore that's what I'm going to call her through the evening. And like I said, I will probably end up calling Symbiosis Simbi, so that resonates with you as well. Welcome, Dr. Vidya. Welcome to this interaction, this first interaction with the alumni. I'm absolutely delighted to be here, and I have a range of questions. Most of them have come from alumni previously. Some of them I'm going to pick up from the chat box, but delighted to have you here, and good evening.
Good evening, Anita.
So I have been, as I mentioned earlier, a part of the Symbiosis family for around 35 years. And in these 35 years, I can see a distinctive shift in the trajectory of our growth. Symbiosis today is so much more than it was. It's grown beyond, if I may say, just more and better institutes, more and better programs, better students. It's as if you consciously decided at some point of time, the Chancellor and you, that you did not want Symbiosis to only offer quality education and great employment opportunities, but to do something more, something bigger. Would you share some of these important conversations that you must have had with Chancellor Muzumdar sir, when you probably discussed what is called the raison d'etre, the reason for being or the reason for existing for Symbiosis?
Yeah, thank you, Anita. And let me welcome all the thousands of alumni who are registered today for this webinar. In fact, this is for the first time that I'm interacting with all of you all. And I feel delighted. Of course, I would have rather liked to interact with you in better times. But nevertheless, now there's so much use of technology because of this, the scenario outside that we all know. And therefore, I thought that this would be probably the opportune time because all of you all would also be hooked onto technology. And earlier on, when we were busy in our offices and homes, we would not attend a webinar. But now, all of us are on the screen all the time. And therefore, you would like to be connected with us. And it's given us a wonderful opportunity through the Symbiosis Center for Alumni Engagement to be in touch with you all and to communicate with you all like we're doing today. I hope that these communications increase further and we regularly meet, if not in person, at least virtually like this. Coming back to Anita's question, I would rather answer this a little differently than what she's really asked me. My journey with Symbiosis, I think, began since Symbiosis was born, because I always say that Symbiosis is like a sibling for me. I have a younger sister and then Symbiosis. Because Symbiosis was born in 1971. Dr. Muzumdar sir, my father, established this in 1971. And I'm sure some of you alumni who are listening to us are more connected with him than me. I understand that fully. And I know the kind of relationship that you have with him and with Symbiosis that he established. And with the curiosity to understand more today, you're with us, and I'll try and take you through this journey. So in 1971, I must have been about 6-7 years old, and so it was like, one little baby born in our house. And I remember foreign students who came and stayed with us, and the way my parents nursed them if they felt homesick or they were not well, or even taught them English, or even learned Persian to understand some of them who came from Iran and other countries. And that's how we grew in a house. It was so cosmopolitan. And I think it really, these kind of sanskars and this kind of culture actually brushes on you, and actually helps you to build your own personality. And that's how the journey of Symbiosis with me began. And as Anita very rightly said, that initially Dr. Muzumdar sir established Symbiosis for foreign students as a small welfare organization for foreign students. Probably even he didn't know at that time that this would grow into such a large university that's so well known in India and abroad. But as Symbiosis grew from a small organization to do something for foreign students, to teach English to these foreign students who came from non-English speaking backgrounds, to starting some of the colleges that some of you belonged to, the SIBM, the Symbiosis Law School, the first 2 academic institutions that he started, and to now a family of 70 academic institutions, including K-12 schools, having spread across 6 cities in our country. The reach has really grown so much to have more than 40,000 students studying with us now from 85 different countries. I think the journey has been phenomenal. And I must say that I'm really blessed to have been born in a family of great visionaries. Both my parents are great visionaries, and those who have contributed to this noble cause of education and have shaped some of you, because I'm sure some of you who are doing so well in your lives now, for yourselves, for your families, for the organizations that you work for, I'm sure there is some element of Symbiosis that must have contributed to your success as well. And Symbiosis, yes, as Anita said, that it grew from this small organization to a teaching institution, actually just imparting degrees, quality education, and now really has grown into one of the leading universities. And this transformation has come through after Symbiosis got the deemed university status in 2002. It was almost like Symbiosis getting wings to fly, as my father says this many times, because the kind of autonomy that Symbiosis got after getting the deemed university status and the growth that Symbiosis went through from 2002 till date has become, something that people really kind of feel a little alarmed about. Both growth in quality, growth in expanse all across the country, and of course growth in other areas like research and several other areas that I will talk about a little later.
Thank you. So I find it interesting that you felt that after your sister, Dr. Swati, Symbiosis is like this, is like this sibling. And yes, our parents and family play a huge role in our life, and, the values we have and the vision we have for our own growth. Your parents are exceptionally great role models for all of us, actually. In fact, my earliest memories of Dr. Muzumdar way back in the early 1980s is of having great courage, of traveling the path less traveled, usually a risky path, need-based education, foreign students. What are your thoughts of him as a role model who inspires you? Could you just briefly touch upon that for us?
Oh yes, I always say this, that as I said, I'm blessed to have been born in this family, and I'm so blessed that I work with him, or rather, he's my boss. He's my father, but he's my boss. And there's so much of learning from him. And I'm sure students who have come across Dr. Muzumdar sir in person at a personal level would certainly, understand what I'm trying to say. I mean, there's such qualities that he has, and the way he leads this organization, even now at his age of 85, is really commendable, because he has this vision, and for which he set up this organization. And he's always said this, that this organization will grow for itself. It's the institution that will grow, and all of us are like just contributors to the growth of this organization. And that's so right. I think all of you alumni, when you all are working in your own organizations, whether organizations that you all have established as your own, or even organizations for which you all work for, these organizations are far, far bigger than all of us individually. So we have to look up to these organizations. And Dr. Muzumdar sir has been really a role model. As I said, even today, he works hard. He comes to office at 10:30 and is here until almost 3:30 p.m. every day. And every day when we have conversations, it's something new that he comes up with. Like now in the times of crisis, he's always been thinking that what is Symbiosis going to be in the next 3 years? I mean, will it be the same? Will it grow in the same fashion? Will there be, these many students who will come from these many countries that have been coming to us for so many years? So when we talk about, post-COVID for a country, he talks about post-COVID for Symbiosis, and he's been thinking about it, writing notes and discussing with us. And he's now hooked up to technology, so he's even having Zoom meetings with our finance department and and our other departments. So it's so much of learning, and today's topic is so very so very relevant. It's leading change, and I think what Dr. Muzumdar sir has done and Symbiosis has done till date is actually Symbiosis has led the change, in the sense that even if you look at the organizations that he established or Symbiosis established, they were organizations that were established when the times required such organizations or such institutions to come up with. I still remember, the telecom industry had just come up, and the private telecom players had just come in when he established the Symbiosis Institute of Telecom Management. Someone just gives him an idea, and an institution is established. But it's not about just establishing an institution with brick and mortar, but it's about people who work for that institution, and more importantly, creating a manpower or a human resource in that area. I think Symbiosis provided thousands and thousands of people to the telecom sector when it had just begun, and when it required that kind of human resource for that sector. And therefore every Symbiosis institution has been born out of a need of the society or need of our country. And I think that was very important for Symbiosis. And I think when we talk about the topic of leading with change, and in these unprecedented times, how what organization should do, I think Symbiosis has exactly done this. And I think now with this kind of a new normal, and with the kind of changes that are going to happen in education and even in the corporate sector, Dr. Muzumdar has been constantly contemplating and talking to all of us, and especially me, that what is it that Symbiosis should do, what kind of programs, the way we should teach. He thinks about all this at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. I've been thinking, because of COVID and because of what's happening around the world, large number of people who went abroad and now thinking of coming back to India. And I was remembering that you and your family, you were in Oman, you were both Dr. Rajiv and you were doctors working at a hospital. You were motivated to come back at a time, when most of the people were actually thinking of going abroad, dreaming of going abroad for a better life. Do you have anything to say to our alumni who may be abroad, maybe on projects, maybe working, about coming back, about the benefits or the value, something based on your own experience of coming back to India and doing this kind of socially relevant work? Because I remember after you came back, Symbiosis started, prioritizing health and healthcare. Those are things that I associate with you. Something that you'd like to share with alumni?
Yeah, certainly. And I know that today there are a lot of alumni who are registered for this webinar who are from abroad. And in fact, that was the reason why we kept this webinar in the evening, because a lot of them showed interest in joining in this conversation. So I've been abroad and I've lived abroad for almost 6 years. And it was more out of a need to earn money at that point in time, to go for further education in medicine, where my husband was very keen in doing his further studies in UK. And therefore, but I'm a die-hard patriot. And for whatever reason, I decided that once my husband finishes his studies, we will come back. And that's how we came back. But, I think each person should experience what the outside world is. Because, now, of course, you get a lot of opportunities. Even our students who are in Symbiosis get opportunities to travel abroad for semester programs and for several other, the global immersion program and so on. But during our times, I don't think many of us had this opportunity and luxury to travel, even not for vacations or holidays either. But now you see so many students traveling on their own for holidays. So therefore, I think, yes, you need to travel outside your country. You certainly need that kind of global exposure. But you must remember that finally, this is the country that you were born in. And what is it that you can give back to this country? And I think that was a thought that I always carried, that yes, we will go abroad for furtherance of our own, financial status or academic status. But once that happens, let's come back and do something for our country, and it's necessary. So I would really advise and, just share with all the alumni who are outside of India, that try and give something back to this country, which actually has shaped your careers. Because that feeling of giving back is really great. I mean, I could have come back and started my own practice. I'm an OBGY specialist, so I could have just set up my own hospital and earned a lot of money, much more than what I'm earning today as salary in Symbiosis. But I think this giving back through education means a lot to me. Because just creating such a big human resource, teaching students, creating their careers, and through their careers helping their families. I think this is a great noble work that Symbiosis has been doing, and I feel so blessed that I am a part of this great noble work. So for all of you who are abroad, I think try and do something little in your country, in your hometown, in your village, in your city, or in the organization that you've studied in Symbiosis, or in the college that you did your undergraduate studies in. It's such a great feeling of giving back. So I think that's the feeling that I had, and that's the reason why we came back. And I have, I don't regret it at all. I mean, we could have stayed outside of India for a much longer period, but I think we just did the right thing.
Yes, that makes sense. When you look at Symbiosis, there are certain differences between the way Symbiosis is, the way it works, its philosophy, the activities that it's engaged in. What now drives you to commit to activities which are far from the norm as far as the average Indian higher education institution is? Why does it make sense to you in the larger scheme of things for Symbiosis? And if you can share a little bit about your dreams now for Symbiosis, and post-COVID, what are your dreams and plans for Symbiosis?
Like Symbiosis, as I said, has been, it's much, it's way ahead than other organizations or universities in India. And I don't want to sound flamboyant, but I'm sure students who passed out from this institution, from this university, certainly have an edge over others. I think there is some kind of culture of Symbiosis that gets imbibed in each one of us while we work for this organization, and even for the students who actually learn with us. And it creates an identity for themselves, for which they really feel proud of. And I'm sure all of you alumni must be really feeling proud to say that, you passed out of Symbiosis. So there is a culture, there is something in the air of Symbiosis, certainly. As for the organization, I think internationalization has always been the DNA. This is the golden jubilee of Symbiosis. 50 years earlier, Dr. Muzumdar set up this organization for foreign students. Imagine no one spoke about internationalization, no one spoke about foreign students, no one spoke about international higher education in India when Muzumdar sir thought about it 50 years ago. Now the Indian government has started concentrating on internationalization, on globalization, on study in India, attracting foreign students. And Symbiosis did that 50 years ago. That's why I'm saying Symbiosis is way ahead in thinking, in practice, much ahead than what other organizations in India would do. And I think this has been a distinctive feature of Symbiosis, because we've contributed so much to even students' lives by giving them this exposure of having foreign students in a class, because I think diversity also hones up your personalities and characters. How many other universities would have Indian students sharing a bench in a class with a student from Africa, or sharing a hostel room with a student from Iran, or maybe from Thailand or Cambodia? I think there's so much of learning that happens in Symbiosis beyond classrooms that really make these alumni what they are today. I think this is the kind of character building that every university should think of, because education, of course, has to be of quality, but I think what is more important is shaping characters and lives of individuals. And I think Symbiosis really does this. The change that Symbiosis has seen over so many years has also been phenomenal. From a teaching university now, it has moved to a research university. From a university or an organization that was contributing to education, now it has moved into contributing to healthcare, to community. And I think this transformation with changing times has also become, made Symbiosis a little distinct from other universities and other organizations in our country. So I think all this really makes an organization different, and that's how Symbiosis has really grown, not just by the size, by the number of students, faculty, campuses, but I think by its character. The way Symbiosis has grown in its character over the last 50 years has really been something which all of us should feel proud of.
Many alumni who graduated years ago and probably don't live in Maharashtra or even reading news about Pune probably didn't know about the fact that Symbiosis had set up a hospital, university hospital and research center. Many of them didn't know, for example, that we do a lot in the area surrounding the lovely campus. With the villages and the hamlets over there. We've all read a few news articles about, the experience that children and families have had during this COVID pandemic at this super specialty, very fancy, if I might say, well-equipped hospital that we had. And who would have imagined that one day my family could get treatment, the best of treatment, in the country at a Symbiosis hospital. Can you just tell us a couple of things? Number one, be honest. You're a doctor. Do you think this institute is going to be one of your more favorite babies? Are you going to play favorites with the hospital? That's my first question. And the second is, tell us how this hospital plays a role in the general scheme of things for the future of Symbiosis. You mentioned research and teaching. So if you could just weave those things in. But first, are you going to play favorites?
No, not really, Anita. It's something like asking a mother who's the favorite child. So jokingly, my husband always says that, you're a gynecologist, though you left OBGY practice, it's just a little different. You were delivering babies, now you're delivering institutions. So honestly speaking, all the Symbiosis institutions are like my babies, and you can't have one favorite baby. Certainly, I feel satisfied that Symbiosis has set up this hospital, but honestly, being a doctor, it wasn't really my dream at all, or Rajiv's dream. My husband is also a doctor. It was was Dr. Muzumdar's dream. I think if you really dig into his diaries, and my mother has written a book on him recently in Marathi, and now it's going to be translated in English. I'm sure we'll send a copy to all the alumni, then who will then get first-hand information from what Dr. Muzumdar sir was, what he's now, and how he's created this great institution. In that, she's mentioned about his diaries, and in his diary, probably 45 years ago, he mentioned that he mentioned about healthcare, Symbiosis contributing to healthcare and setting up of a hospital. But as I said, this organization has just led in changing times. So right now it is doing phenomenal work by treating COVID patients in this hospital. But let me tell you a little story, a little anecdote. Dr. Muzumdar was invited to see a movie called Anandi Gopal. It's a Marathi movie with English subtitles, and I would really urge our alumni to get hold of this movie on Netflix or Amazon, and please see this movie. It's a wonderful movie. And he was invited to see this movie because there was a special screening in one of the theaters in Pune. And when he came back, he called me and Rajiv home in late evening, and he said, Symbiosis should set up a medical college. And we were shocked because my husband Rajiv was on the Medical Council of India, and having seen the MCI, so closely, he had vouched that Symbiosis should not set up a medical school. I was also not very interested because I knew what it takes to establish a medical school in a country like India. And we were happy doing management and law and economics, social sciences, media, engineering, and all those disciplines, even health sciences with nursing and medical technology, and we were happy we were not doing medicine. But when, for me as a daughter, when Dr. Muzumdar says something, I have to bring his dream into reality. And so actually we asked him, why should we set up a medical college? And he said, I watched this movie called Anandi Gopal, and we should now set up a medical college for women. By then he had done research to find out that there are just 17% women doctors who actually practice medicine. There could be more than 50% who join the medical, studies, but just 17% who practice medicine in India. And he said that if our organization doesn't create this kind of manpower, of women doctors contributing to the healthcare system of India, then what are we here for? And imagine this came as almost as a shock, but also, I was glad that someone was thinking on these lines. We established this lovely hospital, which is now a 900-bedded super specialty hospital with all the latest equipment that one would find in any good hospital in the world, and excellent team of doctors, excellent team of nurses, and a Symbiosis Medical College for women where 150 girls will walk in, after the NEET this year. Unfortunately, it's getting a little delayed, but by August or September, 150 girl students, medicos, will join the Symbiosis Medical College for women. But what is more important is that this hospital caters to the 23 villages that are around the university campus as almost a free hospital. Right, so every day several patients, almost a OPD of 1,000 patients is seen by the doctors there. Almost 70% admissions being done. And what is most important again is that we dedicated 500 beds of this 900 beds for the treatment of COVID patients. So we were the first organization in Maharashtra, probably the first private organization, I would say, to come forward and tell the state government of Maharashtra that here we are, please take our 500 beds and make us the nodal center for treatment of COVID patients. And all of you alumni will be so happy to know that as of date, more than 300 COVID patients have walked out with negative tests and walked out healthy. There are 200 patients still undergoing treatment, very few in the ICU or on ventilators, but almost all of them are recovering. And they're so very happy that now it is like, patients are demanding, those who are positive, COVID positive patients are demanding the government authorities that they should be admitted in Symbiosis Hospital because of facilities, the doctors, the nurses, the kind of food that we provide, the kind of care that we take. is so good, and I must thank my warriors, the doctors, nurses, and other healthcare staff, that they're doing phenomenal work. And you must come someday to come and see what we've done. I mean, it's a transformation of Symbiosis when you actually walk into the hospital and see these patients being treated so well and almost free. You will feel so nice to have been a part of this organization, which is now contributing to healthcare. There are patients that are from almost a child of 5 months old to a lady of 92 years old who's being treated in this hospital. What I'm trying to again tell you is that see how Symbiosis has changed with times. It grew from a small organization for the welfare of foreign students to a teaching organization to a university which is so multidisciplinary and multicultural, focusing on research, creating new knowledge, to contributing to society. I mean, we are doing so much work in these 23 villages through our Symbiosis community outreach program that these villages are almost adopted by the university. Our students are going and teaching in those schools there. Engineering students are creating some, products for these villagers. The Symbiosis Center for Waste Management is looking at sanitation. I mean, there's several activities that some of you who were in Symbiosis on Senapati Bapat Road and know this 2-acre campus of Symbiosis will be so happy to see this large 300-acre campus on the outskirts of Pune, close to Pashan, at a village called Lavle. Seeing that it's not just a large campus by the magnitude and the magnanimity of the infrastructure, but really a large-hearted campus which is doing so much for the neighboring villages. And I must tell these alumni that this is an opportune time for you all to contribute back. If any one of you wants to contribute, I'm not talking about financial contribution alone, but more importantly, contributing as volunteers, contributing for for scholarships. We give scholarships, almost free ships, to young girls who want to get educated in Symbiosis from these villages. So if our MBA students go and do a feasibility study, they go and do some research through which they identify the poorest of poor families, identify these girls, and then come to us and say that these families that need support for education, and Symbiosis has been providing free education to girls. So you can do so much by contributing to these activities under the scope, or the hospital that treats poor patients. I mean, the contributions are like some of us as members of Symbiosis family, forget that I come from the family that founded Symbiosis, but as an employee, I would like to contribute to just a day, just one bed in a day, and what's the contribution? Just about 5,000 rupees. I mean, there are so many students who, who want to contribute, on their birthdays, or on their parents' birthdays, or on their grandparents' anniversaries. So, it's such a noble cause that the patient feels so satisfied, and the doctors who are treating these patients will feel so satisfied that along with us, there are several, contributions that come from several other people. And again, I repeat that it doesn't mean financial contribution. If some of you can just give a day and just be with those patients and spend the day with them, even that's a great contribution that you can do. So, please come. Now, of course, the travel is curbed because of COVID, but once this COVID crisis is over, I would really request you all to come and see the kind of work that we're doing. Symbiosis has really changed with changing times.
You're right when you said that this is an opportune time, because I think in the last decade or so, it's become so apparent to everyone, to individuals, to organizations, to small communities that we belong to, that it's not just about professional expertise and growth, but our happiness at home, the sense of peace and contentment, contributing to the communities that we live in. Organizations have moved on to that triple bottom line. So it is absolutely essential. And I think somewhere all of us have understood, to reassess our own positions in the lives that we lead, and great opportunities exist if alumni want to join hands with us. Very important that you said it doesn't necessarily have to be financial. There's so much that could be done with our students, with the institutes, with these villages and hamlets. It's just suddenly struck me that I was supposed to tell all of you, and I haven't, that you should wait till the very end of this program. Please don't get up to get dinner or breakfast, depending on where you are, or switch over to your favorite, Netflix show, which is something that we all do now that it's a lockdown, but something memorable is coming up right at the end. So do hang on. We still have a few more conversations to go. So Dr. Vidya, alumni have written in with many questions. Thank you, alumni, for this. It's been overwhelming. Many of you wrote in advance. Some of you are still writing, in the chat box. Nilesh will get back to you with more specific responses. He'll also get back to you if he needs to work with you on any of those. I am, however, going to take a few questions for Dr. Vidya here. And wherever possible, I'm going to try and take the names of the people who asked those questions. So Jitendra Paturkar and Poonam Yadav ask what SIU plans to do to ensure the safety and health of its students once they return to campus after the lockdown is lifted.
Oh, in fact, we are waiting for all the students to come back to our campuses because, university campuses are no campuses unless you see students around. So it's really so disheartening to see those empty classrooms and empty campuses, no one in the cafeteria. It's really, and I go and stay on the university campus, nowadays pretty often, and I feel really miserable not to see students around. But, all of you know that Symbiosis is a health promoting university. Symbiosis has healthcare centers on each campus, and therefore we will take utmost, care to ensure the safety of all of you. In fact, we planned the director of the Symbiosis Center for Healthcare and Dr. Rajiv, my husband, who's a healthcare professional himself, they formulated a nice policy in which, we will ensure that care will be taken. First of all, of course, sanitization of all the campuses before the students join. And even after the students join, how do we maintain social distancing? How do we maintain, cleanliness and sanitization and all the necessary things that are required for a safe campus. So you please don't worry at all. We are there to take care of you, and being doctors ourselves, we will take more care than other organizations would.
And linked to this, Tushar Gupte asks, now since the University Hospital and Research Center is active and has been working with COVID, do you have any learnings or experiences from there that would be useful for all our alumni as citizens and members of their families to learn from?
Oh, yes. In fact, first of all, I would like to tell all the alumni that almost 90% of the patients that are admitted in our hospital are asymptomatic. So, it's like anybody could be COVID positive. Unless tested, you never know. And therefore, I think it's most important that, you take care of yourselves first, and of course for your family members. And the most important thing, I don't need to repeat it because you see it on television all the time, is, keeping cleanliness. So washing your hands frequently, wearing a mask, try and avoid going to public places, and please remember that no socializing at all. If the country, whichever country that you are from, is telling you that this is a lockdown, then please stay in your homes. While you are at home, there is of course no need to wear a mask, because some of them sitting in homes also feel that they should wear a mask, but there is no need. But certainly when you're going out to get grocery or your vegetables or whatever, please ensure that you are wearing a mask. And I think even if you abide by a few principles like these, because see, COVID is not going to go, the next day. So we are probably going to live with COVID for the next few months. And, life will be a totally new normal, as we all have been hearing. So, when you're even traveling to work, you will have to wear masks like what you do in Japan or at times in, other Southeast Asian countries. And therefore, things that we probably never did in India, we will be doing it more often in the next few months. But there's nothing to really feel so scared of. I think media is carrying stories sometimes too negative stories, so many deaths and so many such things. I really don't think it's so much to worry about as long as you're taking care of yourself. Because even if you worry what's going to happen, things are going to happen the way they are unless you take care of yourself. How much is the government also going to do? I think a day will come when government will just say that enough is enough. Please take care of yourselves and your families, and that's it. Because finally they have to also look at the economy of the country, and each one of us also has to go to work to earn money and also create jobs for others so that others also earn money. So therefore I think we have to live with this, and therefore taking care of your own selves is going to be important than really looking at news items and watching television and looking at the WhatsApp that we keep getting about COVID. So please stop doing this.
Yes. Utpal Vats asks, what's happening to students whose placements have been badly affected and deferred, and what can Symbiosis do to help, or what is Symbiosis doing to help all these students probably who have been in their graduating year and placements badly affected?
So actually, I just got data from all the directors of our MBA institutions, and I mean, at least the data shows that the placements have taken off well. There were about 3 to 4 rejections, per institution, but the directors have managed to get jobs for even those who got the rejections after the COVID, of course, crisis, because some of the companies probably didn't want to hire, but others have got their jobs. So there are jobs in hand, but I know people are anxious to join the company, like we are also anxious for students to join us. As far as summers, I think again, summers have had good, I mean, students have had good opportunities for summer placements also, but I heard from most of our directors that students have got projects to work from home. So I'm sure they, students are kept busy with the summer projects. I don't really think, I'm more worried about the batch of, the batch that will pass out in 2021 because of the uncertainty. And I know our directors and faculty members will have to really work hard. But when I was talking to some of the HR managers, and just yesterday I was on a webinar of Times of India, and I had one of the leading IT companies HR manager with me, and he said that we've not really stopped our hiring because he said I need to hire people at the junior level right now because in the next 2 to 3 years I require mid-level people. So how can I not hire now? And he says that most IT companies have also are hiring. So I think what he said is that students don't need to worry really about placements and jobs. Of course, there is uncertainty and we can't really swear and say about what things will happen in the near future, but I'm sure good institutions will be able to give good jobs to students. So at least Symbiosis students don't need to really worry.
Okay, thank you. A number of alumni, Soumik, Chinmay, Sanmoy, Anirudh Harne, Yuvraj, Aditi, Nishit, they're all asking, how do you think education is going to change post COVID-19? What new skill sets will students and employees need?
Actually, education certainly is going to change. It has changed for all of us, Anita. We know that how much of technology now we need to use than what we used before. But I think the change is also for the good, because we were talking about using technology in our classrooms. But again, it's always that when you get a jolt, when you go through a crisis, and when you're compelled to do some certain things, then you do it. But when you're not compelled to and you're just being requested, then you don't. So I think this crisis has helped most of our teachers to really move on to, great use of technology, in classrooms, in, of course, virtual classrooms. And I think Symbiosis has been doing this. I'm sure some of the students who probably are registered on this platform would know what the teachers have done for themselves, because this came as a sudden bolt in the month of March, while we were just about to finish our semester and just about to start with our examinations. We had to move the classes totally into virtual classes, and I think that was really seamless, and I really applaud all the faculty members of Symbiosis. So this is the use of technology, but I think the way we are going to teach is going to change, and what we are going to teach is also going to change, because companies are going to be different from, the job at the companies is going to be different than what it is today or what it was yesterday. And therefore, I think we are also interacting with the industry very closely to find out how our curriculum needs to change, what we need to do. As I said in one of the webinars yesterday when Anita and I were there, that internationalization is going to change because student mobility is now going to be curbed, and therefore we're talking about internationalization at home, how we want to internationalize the curricula, and so on and so forth. So things are going to change. We have time. We are actually moving on to almost the whole of next semester, that our faculty members are creating courses for the whole semester online, because we don't know when we are going to actually physically open our campuses. While we are going to open our virtual campuses through online teaching from the 15th of July, but we don't know whether it's going to be 1st of August or 1st of September when we can physically open our campuses. So therefore, I think the move of virtual education is definitely on the cards. Blended education is what we are looking at, and of course what we are going to teach, what the industry will demand differently from what we were doing is something that we will learn from the industry and move on to making that change as well.
So there are two questions linked to this, and I'm going to ask the first one. Shastri Srinivas asks whether the classroom will now shift. Will the practitioner play a more proactive role in partnering with the academics? How will education build the emotional quotient and engagement capability? Because this is going to become very critical. And how does the institution of the future create such experiences in these disruptive times?
Oh yeah, that's quite a challenge. In fact, just yesterday I was talking to my father and I said, could we create, virtual campuses for students? Because while students will join the online classes on the 15th of July, can they really experience the, experience the campus life? And, now we talk about virtual reality and virtual campuses. So can we really have, the SIBM students moving in the SIBM classrooms virtually, so that they really feel that they are on campus? So can we really do something like this? Because finally the student wants to come and enjoy the campus life. So how can institutions really give that? So I think now the shift is going to be to towards blended learning, as I said, and a lot of things that we'll have to do on campus, which will be with the use of technology. Till we open our campuses, we're looking at how can we engage with our students, through the various networks that we will want to create. And one such network that we plan to also create is a network with our alumni and their engagement with students, which we've done at an institutional level. I'm sure institutions do have these kind of networks, but can we create these virtual networks and very strong virtual networks where our alumni can become our students' buddies or mentors, and can we attach one alumnus to maybe about 10 students? Can you really pick and choose? Can students get to pick and choose the alumni that they want to be linked with or want as their buddies? So we are actually wanting to create such kind of virtual networks with all of you as well. And I hope some of you will like to be associated with the students who are currently studying with us.
So while technology looks like it's going to become important in higher education, Swati Jadhav asks, what's going to happen to students who are in rural areas or areas with bad or no connectivity? What happens to delivering quality education to these students? And that seems to be a huge challenge for a country like ours.
Oh yes, that is. I mean, that's reality. In fact, that's something that is most worrisome, not just to Symbiosis, but more importantly to the country and to the HRD ministry. And with the, I sit on some of the committees and I chair the FICCI Higher Education Committee. And through this committee, we've taken this up very seriously with the Telecom Ministry and of course through the HRD ministry, that they really need to ensure that there is connectivity, till the last mile. I mean, you have to have connectivity. Unless you have that, how are you going to educate your students who are going to be, in these areas where there is low connectivity? So, but fortunately, the government is taking this up very seriously. They are trying to, and I'm sure by the time we open our campuses, there will be connectivity, at least in larger parts of the country. I won't say connectivity almost everywhere, but certainly in large parts of our country, because this has been taken up at the government level, and I'm sure we don't really need to worry about it. We will certainly see a change there.
David Robertson asks, what can you suggest generally for international students currently in India with regard to leading change here, especially with these foreign students facing more restrictions than the average citizen?
You're talking about the foreign students here who are studying in India right now?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yes. I mean, many of them, of course, have gone back home. Almost 70 or 80% students would have gone back home. But those who are here, organizations like Symbiosis are certainly supporting them. In fact, recently, those who are living in the hostels are being supported on campus. But even those who are staying out of hostels, we are providing them with food packets and all that. And the Symbiosis Center for International Education, which is our international office, which of course Anita heads, has been doing a lot of work for these foreign students. I think more important than providing food and other things is providing them with just communication. So our international office has been in constant communication with them, because they're alone, they're out of their families, they feel lonely, they feel depressed, and I think the emotional part of it is being taken care of by our international office.
In fact, as Dr. Vidya said, since I work, at that center, a lot of internships, volunteering projects and activities, we're also trying to take care of those. So if you know someone, definitely please ask them to get in touch with us. We'd be happy to help. I'm going to end with two very interesting questions. Colonel Dr. Sanjeev Sharma asks, in these unprecedented times, never seen by humanity ever before, how can academics and parents mold themselves to enable students and their kids to overcome the fear psychosis that usually starts setting in?
I think it's yes. I mean, it is a challenge, and the news is, the TV channels are bombarding you with and families with negative news. So parents will have to play a role and ensure that students don't get so much access to this negative news that's always coming through. But I think this is it's almost like a phase that will pass off soon. And there is always a silver lining to every cloud, as they say. So I think even young children and students will pass this phase very soon. There was a wonderful article written by Chetan Bhagat. I'm sure many of you must have read it in the Times of India, where he exactly speaks about this, that we really need to now just not bother about corona and just not bother about what's happening around us, because we can't do much about it. So why bother? And keep living a healthy and a happy life and be positive. And I think that's what parents need to teach their students and their children, because I think our young children are constantly on their gadgets, and I think that's something that brings them back into this negative news. So I guess staying away from this negative news is more than enough to get out of this depressive environment. And as I said, at this point in time, if you can really look at what you can give back, what you can, do with your lives, more meaningful things, I think that's something that each one of us will have to look at and be positive about.
Yeah, there was that Charlie Brown, I think, comic strip that said, I'm really worried about COVID, and the other guy says, stop Instagram and WhatsApp and you'll be fine. But thank you, Dr. Vidya. I think this interaction was really important. This is the first webinar, and very often leading change, means. Yes, Dr. Vidya, you wanted to say something?
You just mentioned about some great surprise for people, for alumni.
Yes, that's coming up. That's coming up. But before that surprise comes in, I just wanted to thank you for this first interaction. Leading change often means learning from people around us and from the organizations that we work with, and we felt that sharing what we've done, the challenges that we faced, what we continue to do, is how probably we can get inspired to lead change, because you do the small things that you can every day in whatever small way you can. It's the first in the conversation. It's also a little daunting to have a first interaction, considering that we have alumni who probably graduated in 1984. Right down to those who graduated last year. Many know Symbiosis for what it is today. Some of them remember Symbiosis as this small, campus at Senapati Bapat Road. So this was our first interaction. I think it was important for them to reacquaint themselves, not just with Symbiosis, but also get to know, the face behind the designation, Dr. Vidya, as well. So thank you so much. I'm happy to now introduce a dear colleague of mine. He's the director of the Symbiosis Institute for Business Management, Pune, and the dean of the Faculty of Management at Symbiosis International University. Dr. Raman is our go-to guy, definitely my go-to guy, whenever we have issues related to systems, processes, IT, edu-tech, etc. Very happy to welcome Dr. Raman. And he'll tell you a little more about the surprise that I was talking about. Dr. Raman.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Anita. That was a fabulous webinar, first webinar by Dr. Vidya, basically with the theme Leading Change, Unprecedented Times, Call for Unprecedented Measures, starting with how Symbiosis started and also touching on all several aspects related to placements, virtual campus that's being planned, as well as the hospital aspect where, the kind of service that's being done. I'm sure there will be a lot of alums who will be inclined and interested in participating and possibly joining hands with Symbiosis to make this effort that Symbiosis has taken to become even more bigger. Talking about the surprise aspect that you were, mentioning while you addressed, the crowd here, let me have the pleasure of revealing that surprise. There are alums who joined right from the batch who graduated in 1982 to possibly 2015 who are attending this webinar. And for all of them, it is one person whom they relate very well with across all batches is Dr. Majumdar, who's the founder and president of Symbiosis, as well as the chancellor of the Symbiosis International University. So let me have the privilege to reveal the surprise. We'll be soon joined by Dr. S.B. Majumdar, who's the chancellor. In fact, we keep telling that, change is something constant and we have to adapt to change. At this age now, he has adapted to the change. He attends meeting online, and now he's going to join us for this webinar as well. So we'll have Dr. Majumdar, Honorable Chancellor, Symbiosis International Deemed University, who will be joining us now. So that's the pleasant surprise to all alums and all others who are attending this webinar. Yeah, he'll be coming online soon now.
So I'm sure students will be very happy to have Majumdar sir just bless them. In fact, that's something nice, Dr. Raman and Dr. Anita, that you invited him to bless all our students. I just hope that, because unfortunately I'm not with him right now, and he's at the university campus. So I hope he has the technology support there to come on board and bless our students. So we'll have him in a while.
Good evening, my dear alumni, and I'm happy to see you and interact with you for a brief time. I'm really happy that I have the opportunity to interact with you. I must tell you one thing, that many people ask me, Dr. Majumdar, what is going to be the future of Symbiosis after COVID? But then I tell them one thing. To me, the pandemic crisis is the rarest of the rare opportunity that has come to Symbiosis after 50 years, especially in Golden Jubilee year. To me, Corona is a teacher, not in the least a monster. Corona teaches me courage. Corona teaches me conviction, determination, and more importantly, Corona teaches me innovation. They say that it is only when the night wears its darkest hue that the sunrise is near. And therefore today, many people are afraid of the night, the darkest night that has been created by Corona. But let us remember that sunrise is very near. And therefore I feel that this pregnant night will deliver a wonderful new baby, which I call a new Simbi. The Simbi, new Simbi, born in the dawn. It is new Simbi which is going to be born in sunrise. And therefore I am really not afraid of Corona. I take Corona as a great opportunity to create a new symbiosis, vibrant, dedicated, creative, and innovative. I feel that what our Prime Minister Dr. Modi said the other day on TV, he said, I want my India to be Atmanirbhar Bharat. I want this symbiosis to be Atmanirbhar symbiosis. And I want all of you, my dear alumni, to be Atmanirbhar. I am sure, I am confident that our symbiosis will come out with this dark night with more strength, with more creativity, with more innovation. And therefore, please don't get disappointed. For symbiosis, it is an opportunity. For you, it is also an opportunity. My dear alumni, I would love to see you and meet you and hug you, because I do feel that you and you alone are the wealth of symbiosis. I don't want to say much about it on this occasion. I must wish you all the best. God bless you. But again remember that symbiosis will continue to be Atmanirbhar symbiosis. Thank you. God bless you.